My name is Patricia. I'm 27 years old, and even now I don't know how to begin telling this story. I've erased this recording more times than I can count, because every time I start, the words catch in my throat. I'm not looking for attention. I'm just a woman trying to share something that changed me completely. After everything that happened, I'm not the same person anymore. And maybe by saying it out loud, I'll finally begin to understand it. I've had my heart broken before, more than once. Not the kind of heartbreak you cry over for one night and then move on, but the kind that lingers for months, the kind that makes you question your own worth. I've stayed up staring at my phone for hours, waiting for someone who once promised me forever to send just one more message. The last heartbreak nearly destroyed me. He lied, cheated, disappeared, and then came back engaged to someone else, as if I had never mattered at all. That betrayal broke something inside me. After that, I swore I was done with men, done with romance, done with letting myself hope for something good. When I needed someone to lean on, I turned to my father. He's always been my rock, the one person who never let me down. But the truth is, he wasn't the same anymore either. We lost my mom 8 months ago. She had cancer, and no matter how much we prayed, no matter how many treatments she endured, the disease took her from us. My dad loved her more than anything. I grew up watching them laugh together, cook together, hold hands when they thought no one was looking. She wasn't just his wife. She was his best friend, his safe place, his whole world. When she passed away, I saw the strongest man I know crumble in the quietest way. I still remember her last day. It was a Tuesday morning in the hospital. The sun was shining through the blinds, but the air felt heavy, like the whole world was holding its breath. I watched my father lean close to her ear and whisper, "It's okay, my love. You can let go." A few minutes later, she took her last breath in his arms. That image will never leave me. After the funeral, people came and went. Neighbors dropped off food we didn't eat. Family members patted our backs and told us to stay strong, to remember she was in a better place. But when the last car pulled away and the house was silent again, that's when the real grief began. A few days later, I moved back in with Dad. I didn't even think twice. He looked so lost, so broken, like a man who no longer knew how to function without her. I couldn't leave him in that state. Those first weeks were unbearable. He barely spoke. He would sit by the window for hours, staring at the street as if waiting for her to walk through the door. He stopped cooking. He stopped shaving. He stopped turning on the lights unless I reminded him. I tried to hold us together. I made breakfast even when neither of us wanted to eat. I cleaned the kitchen, sorted the mail, and left the TV on so the silence wouldn't swallow us whole. But the nights were the worst. Through the thin walls, I could hear him crying. Not loud sobs like in the movies, but quiet, broken sounds of a man who tried all day to stay strong and couldn't anymore. I lay in my bed, clutching a pillow, listening to every sound he made, wishing I could take his pain away. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I got out of bed and walked to his room. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, holding a picture of my mom. His shoulders were slumped, his eyes red. For the first time in my life, he looked truly old. I didn't say anything. I just wrapped my arms around him from behind. He froze for a second, then broke down completely. He pulled me into his arms the way he did when I was a child, and he cried into my shoulder. I held him, stroked his hair, and whispered, "I miss her too." Dad, that night I stayed in his room, not because of anything strange, but because neither of us wanted to face the emptiness alone. I curled up against his chest and he held me the way he used to hold Mom, safe, protective, as if he was afraid I'd slip away to Dot from that night forward. Something between us shifted, not in an inappropriate way, but in the sense that our bond deepened. We talked more. Sometimes we'd stay up until 2 in the morning, remembering Mom, sharing childhood memories, or laughing through tears about the silly little things she used to do. He told me stories about their early years together, how he proposed to her in the rain, how she nearly burned dinner the first time she cooked for him. Listening to those stories made me see love in a different light. It made me wonder if I would ever experience something so deep, so lasting. But as comforting as our closeness was, it also scared me. I began to notice that my emotions were tangled. I clung to him more than I should have. His approval mattered too much. His hugs lasted longer than they used to, and I started depending on his presence in a way that didn't feel entirely healthy. I wasn't falling in love with him, but grief had blurred the boundaries of our relationship. I craved his comfort because he was the only man who had never broken me. And he craved mine because I was the only one who understood his pain. There were moments when I caught myself staring at him. Sometimes, in the golden light of sunset, he looked peaceful and almost beautiful in a way I hadn't noticed before. I would quickly look away, ashamed of the thought. It wasn't desire, but it was a kind of dependency I didn't know how to explain. One rainy evening, I walked into the living room wrapped in a blanket. He was sitting on the couch with the TV on low. He looked up at me and held out his arm. I sat beside him and leaned into his shoulder. He whispered, "You're not alone." I whispered back, "Neither are you." That simple exchange stayed with me. It was comforting, but it also reminded me how close we had become. Maybe too close. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I worried about what it meant. I worried that grief had turned us into two people clinging to each other so tightly that we were forgetting where the lines were supposed to be. I felt guilty for needing him so much. I felt afraid that he might be relying on me in the same way. For weeks, we carried on like that. We cooked, cleaned, watched TV, and shared quiet evenings. On the surface, it looked normal, but beneath it, everything had changed. The way we lingered in each other's company carried an unspoken weight. The silences grew heavier. The looks lasted a little longer. We didn't talk about it, but we both felt it. Finally, one evening while folding laundry together, I asked the question that had been haunting me. "Dad, what are we doing?" He froze, holding one of my shirts in his hands. He sat down slowly and said, "I don't know. I think about everything we've been through. I don't regret being close to you. But I don't know what it means. I don't know where we go from here." His voice broke. And I realized he was just as lost as I was. That conversation was the turning point. We both admitted we were scared of the way grief had blurred the lines. We agreed that we loved each other deeply, but that love needed to stay safe and healthy. We promised to set boundaries. No more confusing moments. No more letting loneliness trick us into replacing what we'd lost with something it could never be. It wasn't easy. Some nights I still wanted to curl up beside him and feel the safety of his arms. Some mornings I caught him watching me with an expression I couldn't read. But we resisted because we knew going any further would only break us in ways we couldn't repair. Instead, we decided to seek help. I found a therapist, and he agreed to join a support group for men who had lost their spouses. At first, he hated it. He didn't want to open up to strangers. But little by little, he began to share. I did the same. I joined a grief support community online, where I met people who understood the strange, confusing emotions that come with loss. It helped me realize that what we had felt wasn't unique. Many people who lose loved ones experience blurred boundaries and misplaced emotions. It's part of grief, but it doesn't define you. As time passed, things got easier. We started inviting friends over again. We made new routines that didn't revolve entirely around each other. Dad picked up gardening, something Mom had always loved. I began writing again, something I had abandoned years before. Slowly, life crept back into the house. It wasn't the same warmth as before, but it was something new, something healing. Looking back, I realize how close we came to losing ourselves in grief. How easily loneliness can twist into something else. But I'm grateful we pulled back before it was too late. We learned to lean on each other without losing who we were. We learned that love between a father and daughter can survive even the darkest seasons, as long as we respect the boundaries that keep it safe. I'm sharing this story because I know someone out there might be going through something similar. Grief changes people. It blurs the lines. It makes you crave comfort in places you never thought you would. But you're not alone. Your feelings don't make you bad or broken. They just mean you're human and you're hurting. What matters is what you do with those feelings. You can choose to set boundaries. You can choose to get help. You can choose to heal. It has been nearly a year since Mom passed. The pain hasn't disappeared, but it has softened. Dad and I still have quiet nights together, but they feel lighter now. We laugh more. We talk about the future more. We allow ourselves to imagine what life could look like moving forward. For me, that means hoping for love again. A healthy love. Not born of grief, but of growth. For him, it means learning to smile without guilt, to let himself remember Mom without falling apart.